All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. Second of all, I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone, Elder Tahar, and on down to rule well. And third of all, I want to give a peace and safety to the hopeful elect out there, the brothers that push this truth, the truth of the King James Bible, and all truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the globe. All right, so I just want to do a short lesson. I have alone the spirit, a short late night so like yeah, listen, I have alone the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai allows it to go. I don't want to name the video. The prophecies was left to all ages. All right, and that's paraphrasing. Well, not paraphrasing, but the title is based. Well, the lesson is based off of Lord Will's brothers can see on the screen, Sirach chapter 24, verse 33. All right, which I was just reading. I've been reading over the book of Sirach this week, and read back over this, and yeah, man. Like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Sirach chapter 24, verse 33. And well, let me start at 32. Sirach chapter 24, verse 32. And I will yet make doctrine to shine as the morning. All right. Um, it will send forth her light afar off. All right. Which the true doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, um, is what some things that consist of the doctrine. What the MOTB is, what's the names, the true names of our powers, of our gods, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, what the MOTB is. All right, this is the microchip technology. Uh, where is Mystery Babylon spoken about in the Book of Revelations, which is America. All right, those are some of the things that consist of the doctrine. All right, to shine as the morning, it will send forth their light afar off. All right, and this truth is known as the light, and it's shining everywhere throughout the four corners of the globe. Verse 33, and I will yet pour out doctrine as prophecy. Right. I'm read it one more time. And I will yet pour out, Sirach chapter 24, verse 33, and I will yet pour out doctrine as prophecy. All right. Because the doctrine is prophecy. All right. Because again, like some of the things I just named, the MOTB, or what it is, that's a part of the doctrine. It is the microchip technology, the true doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, which is also prophecy. Mystery Babylon being America. All right. That's a part of the true doctrine, which is also prophecy. Um, so on and so forth. America being destroyed. All right, in the Third World War. All right, that's a part of the doctrine. All right, some of the things that consist of the doctrine. All right, doctrine is prophecy, which those things are also, of course, prophecy. And leave it to all ages forever. Right, and leave it to all ages forever. All right, the scriptures say in Romans the 15th chapter, which I'm gonna read that the things written aforetime were written for our learning. All right, so we would know what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the Heavenly Father, and His only begotten Son, was going to do in the latter days. All right, and we could be, prepared for it. The Lord did warn us and told us about things that's going to happen in the future. All right, in the past, by our forefather, the prophets, such as Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, so on and so forth. All right, and they got passed down that those visions or prophecies that the Lord passed down to our forefathers, told our forefathers, got passed down to us. All right, and the full understanding of those visions that the prophets received back then, our forefathers, the prophets received back then, the full breakdown they're all been fully, broken down. Because some of the things, well, everything our forefathers were seeing, and like Elder Tahar has mentioned before in recent videos, um, our forefathers, they had no idea what they were seeing. There was no such thing as a microchip. There was no such thing as a fighter jet. Or there was no such thing as a nuclear missile. There was no such thing as America or what he was saying, what they were seeing was Babylon the Great. All right, but certain visions when the Lord was speaking about Babylon, the Lord wasn't talking about Babylon that some of our forefathers were in. Or he was talking about America. All right, But our forefathers, didn't, have that full understanding. Now they were wise men, but they didn't have that full understanding. But the Lord gave it had the visions written down and got passed down to the elect. Like the scriptures say. Hold on, let's get this real quick before we go to that Romans. This is Second Ezra chapter 14. Second Ezra chapter 14, verse 42. And the highest gave understanding to the 5 men, and they wrote the wonderful vision of the night that were told. And the wonderful visions were what? Prophecies. All right. Which they knew. And they sat 40 days, and they wrote in the day and the night, and they ate bread. And as for me, I spake in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. And in 40 days they wrote 240 books. And it came to pass, when the 40 days were fulfilled, the highest spake, saying, the first that thou hast written, publish openly, that the worthy and the unworthy may read it. Right. So, like I said, like Sirach, the 24th chapter and the 33rd verse said, um, the prophecies was given and it was written down. They say it was written down in the verse, but the Lord basically had them written down. The forefathers written down, wrote them down, and they got passed down to us in the latter times. All right, the worthy and the unworthy, but only the worthy is going to get the understanding of it. The unworthy, which is the 2/3, they can read the Bible, but they'll never get the understanding of it. All right, that the worthy and the unworthy may read it, but keep the 70 last, that thou mayest deliver them only to such as be wise among the people, which in these times would be the elect. All right, so again, our forefathers were wise, all right, but they just didn't get that understanding of what they were seeing. All right, they had no idea what they were seeing because, again, back then, the visions that they were seeing, those things didn't exist. Like, for example, our forefather John on the island of Patmos, there was no such thing as a microchip back then. Not Romans, but Revelation, the ninth chapter, where it goes in about the locusts and things. Like, he described it the best way. He basically he was seeing a world war. All right, and he was seeing fighter jets and the helmets that them soldiers wore back then. I believe them German soldiers wore back then. All right, but he didn't know to describe it. Oh, that's a B-263 fighter jet. He didn't know to describe it like that. He just wrote down the best way he could describe it. So they had no idea what they were seeing. They had no one. They didn't understand what they saw. All right, but in the latter times, like it also says in the book of Revelation, that our forefather John was going to stand in his lot and prophesied again, which he did. And on this side, he had the understanding. He had more understanding of what he saw. It's just like the prophets back then; they've all returned, came back into the lot prophesying today. And if a lot of them may still, just speaking as a man, a lot of them may still be here, still be around, and now they fully have that understanding of what they saw. All right, but back then they didn't have it. So basically, again, like it was just passed down from generation to generation. So in these latter times, for the latter days, Salakia, which we're in, the end game now. That's why the full understanding has been, poured out now. All right, the Lord supped with certain men, and now the full understanding is out there. This is Romans chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. Right, whatever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. All right, to warn us about what's to come, not only about the law and so on and so forth, to keep us in line, keep us healthy and things like that, but also the Lord told us the future and warned us about things to come. All right, the things written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through the patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. All right, hope for what? Salvation, deliverance, to get the hell up out of here when all hell breaks loose, which is getting ready to. All right. Oh, Jacob's trouble. The Lord warned us about Jacob's trouble. Again, the MOT, the charagma, or the sea hip. All right, nuclear war. And though the Lord warned us about those things, and the things written aforetime were written for our learning. All right, and prophecy was given to get passed down to all ages, forever. Especially in these times, the most important times, where the end. All right, this is Jeremiah 28:8. Jeremiah chapter 28 verse 8. The prophets that been up before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and evil and pestilence. Right, so the prophets that had been before thee prophesied against both against many countries, prophesying against this place, even though they didn't get to see the downfall of it right then. All right, but in these times they're going to see it. All right, the prophets that are still here, the ancient prophets that have come back in their lot in these times, they're going to see it, see what they saw back then get fulfilled. All right, one more precept. This is Saint Matthew chapter 13 verse 17. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye have heard, and have not heard them. Right, so let me read it one more time. St. Matthew chapter 13, verse 17. For verily I say unto you, truly I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see. Right, especially in these times. Because again, like our forefather John, the best example. All right, because the biggest prophecy we're waiting for right now is the Charagma. He actually saw it. He saw people getting hit with the Charagma. All right, but it didn't come to pass. It wasn't nowhere near coming to pass in his time. All right, over 2,000 years ago, it was nowhere near coming to pass. All right, but now we're seeing it. We're seeing people actually walk around with Charagmas inside of their hand, buying and selling things. We're seeing the stores switching up the program or whatever and setting it up for people to walk in and scan their head or their forehead to buy and sell things. We're actually seeing it. All right, with our own two eyes. What our forefathers would have died to see, would have killed to see, man. Well, maybe not killed, but would have given anything to see, man, to see those times, these times that we're in right now, to get to these times that we're in right now. Even though they're here right now, some of the prophets may be back on the earth right now, but back then it was a long ways away from seeing it. But now we right here at the doorstep, and have desired to see those things which ye see and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye have heard and not heard them. Right. So we at the end, man. Again, let me go back to that Sirach. The Lord will, this lesson is edifying. Again, I just been reading over Sirach and just saw this and basically been meditating on it all day and just kind of put some scriptures together. I'm going to read it again. Sirach chapter 24 verse 33. And I will yet pour out doctrine. All right, which again, the doctrines, I just named some of the things with the doctrine, what the MOTB is. Revelation 13 verse 16 and 17 is talking about the Third World War, so on and so forth, where Mystery Babylon is, who the Edomites are. All right, the so-called white man. All right, that's a part of the all part of the doctrine, the true doctrine of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai as prophecy. All right, and of course, doctrine and prophecy is the same thing pretty much. And leave it to all ages forever. Right, and leave it to all ages forever. All right, especially for us in these times. All right, behold, that I have not labored for myself only, but for all them that seek wisdom, who seeking wisdom, the elect. All right, I'm seeking the true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right, so yeah, man, it's beautiful, man. The Lord, had these prophecies written down long, long ago, well over 2,000 years ago, and now we're actually getting to see them play out. What the Lord told our forefathers, we're actually seeing it play out right now. So, like the brothers and elders and brothers always say, we're living in some exciting times. Why? Because we're literally seeing the prophecies come to pass with our own two eyes. All right. So, we're actually living in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 17. All right, when you think about it, we're living in it because people are already getting hit with the karama. It just hasn't been made mandatory everywhere yet, and that's when it's truly fulfilled, when it's been made mandatory everywhere. But we're actually living in that time that our forefather John saw. We're actually living in those times, man. All right. So with that, again, I pray this lesson was edifying. Lord will, I wasn't too all over the place. Again, I kind of just been reading over Sirach again and just put a few scriptures together. All right. And Lord will, it's edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash, double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and safety to you, brothers that push this truth and sincerity. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.